So recently, Microsoft announced a new sudo command for Windows on the command line blog. So in this video, I'm going to take it for a spin and give you some first observations. All right, so first up, make sure you're not already running as an admin. I have a little command here to help me out with that. As you can see, I am. So first up, I'm going to open up the settings here for Windows Terminal, come over to the default profile, and turn off the Run as Administrator option. So I'll save that, close the window, close out. I'll relaunch the terminal. And as long as I don't get a UAC prompt, I should be good to go. I can double check though. All right, so I'm not an admin. So now if I try to use the sudo command, you can see it's disabled right now. And if you want to enable it, one way is to come over to the developer settings pane. Down at the bottom, enable sudo. Click yes. And if you expand this out, there's an option to pick how you want to interact with programs that you run with sudo. So I'll leave the default, which is a new window for right now. All right, so over at the command line, if I run sudo now, I get some help. All right, so I should be able to do something like a sudo ping. And when I run this, I'll be prompted for UAC, a new window is opened up, and then you can see the output as the ping command runs. And of course, once it's done, the window closes and just comes back to the original shell or terminal window that I had opened up. All right, so if I want to change how that works, there's a config option. And you can see here I can pass a -- enable. So instead of forcing a new window to open up, I could choose normal instead, which is interesting. Let's try this and see what happens. All right, that worked. So now, if I run the ping command again, I'm prompted, but then right away I come back to my terminal window and you can see the output right here, right in line. And so this is how sudo behaves in a Linux environment. By the way, if I come back to developer settings, expand out the enable sudo, you can see now it's got inline selected, and thus that config command is an alternative to using the settings pane. And then of course it changes the default for all usages going forward. Now, one thing to be aware of, when you use the sudo command, if you try to do something like an ls, typically that would work inside of PowerShell, but if you do sudo and ls by default, that's not going to work because ls is not an actual command. Thus, it cannot find the command to run. ls is actually an alias. It's an alias to get child item, which is a commandlet in PowerShell. Again, not an actual command. So that won't work either if I did get -child item. That's also not going to work. And so if you want to get this to work, there's a little wrapper in PowerShell that adds the ability to basically detect PowerShell and then be able to run script blocks. I'll cover that in another video.